A borehole amid a cluster of small mud brick houses provides these women enough water to run a household. But the fields that surround this village outside of Salima depend on rainwater for the crops. Agriculture is a lifeline for most people in Malawi. The sector accounts for more than 30% of the national income, and small-scale farming is what the vast majority relies on for food. But changing weather patterns are making it harder for subsistence farmers like Blessings and Ponda to sustain themselves.
Yes, I've seen the big change. Many things have changed in my house.
But you still depend on the rain?
Yes.
Only rain?
Rain.
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is we have been taught for winter planting, but the problem is water is the problem.
Yes, the problem is water. Not enough or too much. Since 2015, Malawi experienced devastating floods, followed by a severe drought, wiping out crops and leaving almost half the population without food. And with the government coffers as dry as the fields, Finance Minister Goodall Gondwe says they had no money to buy the maize needed to pull 6.7 million people back from the brink of starvation.
Well, we thought we were going in for a crisis because, as you say, we didn't have enough resources to look after the people. And the first decision we made was that we should ask the president to declare an emergency and to ask the international community for their support.
So 40% of the population were really hit by the big food insecurity situation. This is unprecedented. For WFP, we have not seen scale of food insecurity this big.
Coco Ushiyama is the World Food Programme's representative in Malawi. She says the humanitarian response had to be big and it had to be fast.
So overall, the biggest requirement was for the food response, and that was $307 million. We needed an unusual form of engagement with partners to broaden the donor base and the support. And IMF is a key partner.
And so what happened, given the history? What is it that made the donor community feel confident enough to jump in and start contributing to this, the food crisis?
Well, given the magnitude of the human suffering, the potential human suffering, no one, donor or even the fund, could sit idly by. And the fund was the first to approve an augmentation to the amount of resources that we provide to Malawi, and that had a catalytic effect of bringing other donors on board in providing the humanitarian relief that the country needed.
Lake Malawi stretches more than 350 miles, almost 3/4 the length of the country. And while the lake could eventually serve as a water source for irrigation farming, the investment required to make that happen is daunting. Meanwhile, water levels are dropping, and communities around the lake have not been spared the effects of the drought. Do you think that we're getting less rain?
Yes, now we are getting less rain because of weather, climate. Yeah.
And so what happens when people get hungry?
What happens when people have the hungry? Some organizations, they do bring some food, even the government sometimes. They do try to give people meals.
And the impact of that close collaboration between the government of Malawi and international institutions can be seen on the faces of these children at Demera School as they line up for a scoop of the maize porridge that will sustain them for another day. The success of this joint humanitarian effort saved millions of people from going hungry this time around. But as the world tries to adapt to increasingly unpredictable weather patterns, joining forces will be key to helping Malawi better prepare for what's to come.